So a little while ago, I posted a video that shared my prep during the summer for homeschool and kind of my checklist and how I worked through that. And in that, I mentioned that I make my own teacher planner binder for myself and some of the pages that I needed to create over the summer for that. And I had a request to share my binder itself, my planner, and kind of show you what's inside and how I use it. Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining me. If you're new here, I am a homeschool mom of 3, second-generation Christian homeschool mom. And I have a preschooler this year and a kindergartner who's doing a little bit of kindergarten and first grade work. So I'm going to share with you my teacher planner and just kind of how I organize it, what I put in it. I create it myself. I borrow bits and pieces from different people and create some of my own forms and use some of free planner forms that I found and kind of conglomerate what I want. I find when I order a pre-made package for a planner or a pre-made planner, it either doesn't have everything I want or it has too much and stuff that I don't want. I've been so tempted with those School Nest planners. They look so beautiful, but then I have to do all of it by hand, and I really like the flexibility of being able to create a lot of the forms and edit and tweak things on my computer and then print them out. I really like having a physical copy for my planner, so I'm definitely like a paper planner person, but I also really like being able to tweak and create forms and schedules on my computer and then print them out and then have the physical copy. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to turn the camera on. I'm going to let you see inside this beautiful thing. I use one of these Flex notebooks for my planner. I find it works really well so far, and I think it's going to do good. For me, we'll see. I mean, this is my first year doing this setup. So as I show you inside, do keep that in mind. This is my first year trying this setup for this planner, and I know I'll be tweaking and editing as I go, and I'll find what I like and don't like. So this is a little bit of a trial and error, but it might still give you some good ideas and just kind of show you what other people are doing. So I'm going to turn the camera on. I'm just going to flip through, explain what each of the pages are. I'll try to let you know if I've made the pages or if there's something I've downloaded from a free planner or where I got them so that you can kind of know that. If you have any questions, please comment below. Let me know. I would love to answer any questions that you have. And let's turn the camera on and get started.
Here we have my teacher binder. So I created this cover online. I used somebody's picture or other planner cover and added my year and date or whatever. And also these like little inserts. I just made my own, did what I wanted. I tried to tab these so that they were easy to find. So you have yearly planning is the first one. And in here, I have my year's schedule, and I have a video on how to create this or how I created this. So you can see that below. So I'm not going to walk through like how I made this, but I can reference this. I try to cross them off as I go. I don't always keep up with it. And then I also try to highlight any like sick days that we have in additional colors so that I can look and see how far behind we are with my schedule and if I want to make one of these breaks a little shorter in the future to kind of balance that. So yearly schedule. And you'll see throughout here, I am going to have things covered up. Anything that's our names or personal information, I try to keep private from these videos. So I will cover those up. But this is the overview of the year. Birthdays, events, just big things that are happening in any month, just so I can, keep tabs on that. And then we have my, this table, I'm trying not to walk around, my schedule for curriculum breakdown. Again, I have a video on how I create this. I'm not going to go into huge detail, but this one, again, as I go, and sometimes I'm a little behind, I will cross things off as I go, but basically this is by week. And then I have the dates of the week here. And basically I'm trying to just, when I pick my curriculum, I mark it down with how much I need to do each week in order to accomplish it in the amount of weeks that I have set up for my homeschool year. So this is the breakdown. If we do this per week, then that's kind of how we end. And I have several pages. This is several pages long. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but I have that in here. And then after that, so you see I have these also, I have these main tabs for these like main divider, like yearly planning, but within here, I also have some smaller tabs just to kind of help me flip through without much of a hassle. So this is my year schedule, read alouds, notes and miscellaneous, and there's multiple things in those tabs, but it kind of helps me, stay where I need to be. Okay, so then I have a course of study for each of my kids, and this is just basically what we're doing in each category, how much it costs, and then for my own reference, I mark kind of if I already owned it or if I had to buy it for this child, and then the total. Something that I partially bought or I haven't completely bought because we're going to get like get it later in the year. I could put kind of what it's estimated to be, but if I find it for cheaper, I'll get it at a cheaper price. But that's like the new price for what I got. Then for my second child, course of study, same thing. I have our read alouds list, and this is again just my goal for read alouds or my options for read alouds. And then as I complete them, I try to put the month and year, if the day, if I remember, but I don't often. On this side, so it's kind of like a reading log and kind of help me see how many of them I actually got through. And then several pages for notes. So anytime I think of something that I want to do next year or later in there, or something I need to think about or something I need to research, just jot it down so that I can reference it later. So next year when we start first grade, I want to get an HSLDA membership. That's something I just know, but I don't want to have to think about it. So I just have it down. And at the end of each school year, anything that I haven't researched or resolved or dealt with, I look through this notes page and do what needs to be done and then save the other notes on next year's note pages. I have a couple of those. And this, like this pattern leaf pages that you see around, and I think that's actually what I have on the cover as well. Yeah. Is a Christian Books free downloadable planner that I borrowed some pages from. I told you I would try to tell you which ones I created. So all those kind of like Excel sheet looking ones, those I either created myself or borrowed a form from somebody else. But so let me think, I can try to show you real quick. So this one I created myself. This spread I created myself. This one I borrowed the sheet from somebody else and then edited it for myself. And I think it's the same thing. I think I borrowed somebody else's course of study, but kind of needed work for myself. The read alouds I created myself, and then this one I borrowed from Christian Books. They yearly have a free downloadable planner and I put some of their pages. And then this I downloaded from our local school district, just because we don't follow our school district schedule, but I find it really helpful to know what their schedule is throughout the year. So I just put that in there, and then how this resource from Where'd You Learn That, just kind of a guide to reading picture books with young children. So the young children, I kind of just left that in there as a resource. And then I have some pockets back here, and this is a prep list that I created. And I actually laminated this so I could use it with a dry erase marker rather than printing a new one out each week. I can do this. But as I'm prepping for our school year, if I've got a lot of books to order for various subjects from the library for weeks ahead, because I need to order like 2 weeks ahead for us to get it in time, miscellaneous, anything to do, any supplies to gather for experiments, what have you, I can mark them down and then take this with me wherever versus like, I don't know, instead of like writing lots of sticky notes, I guess this is just everything on place from each resource. And then I also have some end of the year papers in here for the end of the year. And then the next main category is weekly planning. So this one was yearly planning, weekly planning. And in here, I've created myself, and this was a checklist for children that I totally removed around and made to be what I want. But basically, if I'm going to do all my prep on the weekend, this is all the things that need to be done for each subject. And as I go through the year, I won't need this as much because you kind of get a feel and a routine of how to do things. But especially at the beginning of the year, you're trying to remember, what pieces do I need? What do I, whatever. This gives me kind of a checklist to go through. And then anything that I want to like assemble the evening before for supplies or anything like that would be an evening prep for the day before if I want to do that. And then also here for doing my children's weekly binders, this is kind of where I'm going to get all the resources from, and then just some notes of what I want to do weekly or bi-weekly. And then this tab, once again, I do have a video on creating these schedules. So again, I'll link all that below, but I have a weekly overview, just kind of what subjects are going to be in what days. And then I have what I call a post schedule. And basically that is, I've written out a schedule of how my day would look. And this is not because I hold to this like timeline, but if we started at 8:15 with our devotionals and went from there, this is what it would look like. And so this column is going to be my older child's individual or stuff that she does with me. These will be things that she can do by herself. And then these would be my younger daughter with me. And then this one is everybody together. So I am more than generous with these estimates. You see, this is having its end at like 11:30 to 12. We end normally closer to 10. I am way over generous because I know the beginning of the year is easy. And sometimes some days, some subjects are harder than others. I think next year I'll be a little more conservative with my estimates, but I tried to be really generous because we rather overestimate what we're going to spend the time on than underestimate it. And this really helps me when I'm thinking about, did I add too much to our day to look and go, we're going to end so much later than I want to, or not. So this is my 5-day week schedule, but I also created a 4-day week schedule. Now, initially that was because we were thinking of joining an adventure group on Thursdays. And I don't know that we're going to do that, but I really liked keeping a 4-day a week schedule where the 4th day was just really, really light. Because there are weeks when I have an appointment, my kid's dentist appointment or whatnot. And it'd be really nice to have a light day. And so if I know that we have a week coming up where I have something scheduled in that week, I will shift over to doing this schedule instead of the other one. and it'll just shift things around a little bit and take some of the load off Thursday and put it into other days. I mean, Thursday being, an example, but I can totally put this day anywhere and use one of these days in another day. But this is my light day schedule. As long as I do all this, I'll still be getting what I need done. So I like having that in here. And you'll notice, so in all of these weekly and yearly, that I don't have a planning page for myself to plan out what we're going to do each day, what assignment. So I have these like schedules of kind of like, this is the order of the day, and this is kind of the subjects in the order, but I don't have like, oh, for math, we're going to do lesson 3 or 4, because instead of having that in my planner, I have these pages. And basically I have one for each child. And I fill these out when I prepare their weekly binders and put all their work pages in their binders. And this basically is that. And I put this in each of their binder. Now, they're a little young to check this off by themselves. But this is the reference for me, and this is me teaching them to kind of follow a checklist. So this is that spread. So for each subject, anything that's blanked out, we don't do that day, and that will follow my plan that I've already created. And then I just fill in the information for each day, and I have it out. And then this goes in the very front of their binder. And when I'm doing school with them, I can reference it if I don't remember what we're doing that day or whatever. But they can also check it off, and they can reference it as they get older. And then we have just some basic checklists down here that, again, they're a little bit young for this, but I'll leave these on here because they do that. And so I had thought about creating a log for myself in here where I could do all of that and doing these or doing these and then doing like what they do backwards planning where you log just what you've done. That felt like a lot. And so I'm just doing these, and so far that works really well. So instead of having a planner where I plan the week out in my planner, I just give them a checklist where I plan out. So it's actually nice because I can take these separately and I'll go back and reference. Let me show you. Sorry, I know I'm kind of flipping around a lot. But I go back and I reference this page. So what I do is I come in here and, it's week, 3. And if I'm behind a week, by the way, I know where I've gone to. So if I'm, on week 4, but I've only done to week 2 here, I'll just do week 3. I know where I am. That's why I check it off as I go. So I don't have to be exact. This is a goal, but this is not to bind me in place. But I can take this and fill this out with it. So I know we're doing, lesson 1, which has 4 parts. So I'll divide, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. If I were doing pages 51 to 60, and I know via my schedule, this is phonics, I have 4 days, so that's 2 pages a day. So I just write page numbers in. So that makes it really easy to just do these together. I've got it all kind of pre-planned. There's always flexibility, and I really do try to leave a few weeks at the end of the school year that we don't have fully planned in, so that if we do have 6 days here, if we do, get backed up, then I'm not stressing to get everything done. It leaves me in some flexibility. But that is how I do these planner pages instead of having them in my planner. I just print one out weekly, fill it out, put it in my kids book, and I can reference it and they can reference it. So that's how I do that. So then after weekly planning pages, I have my logs and assessments. So I have a goals page, which you see I haven't done, I want to do more with, but I haven't done much with it. But I'm going to leave it there because even if I don't do much this quarter with starting school and stuff, I can still reference it if I want to. I have a place to log field trips. And if I want another reading log that's pretty to put in at the end of the year or as we go, the books we've completed versus kind of the goals book, I have that here. And then these, I have my children's names on here, so I've blanked these up. But this is kind of my checklist. I don't know what I would call these. Basically, this is the scope and sequence or the table of contents for each subject they're doing. And as we complete the unit or whatever, I'll highlight these, and that will show kind of where we've gone. It's going to be kind of like tracking for what we've done in each subject. And then these will probably get stapled together with whatever sample pages I save in their records as, again, just kind of a scope and sequence of what they've accomplished and what the curriculum involved. So I just basically printed out whatever each book had for a table of contents or scope and sequence. And I did that for each of my children. So I'm not going to focus on each one, but that's kind of the idea with this. Okay, so let's get the end of those. And then I have some assessments. So my older daughter's in kindergarten, but she's doing kind of first grade and kindergarten work. So I have a first grade assessment. And the way I use these is I put the year where 2024 is where we start, 2025, and I highlight 2024 when we start. This is what she can do. So I highlight what she can do. And then at the end of the year, I go back with a different color and highlight what she can do more. And it'll give me a really good reference of what she's learned that year. And it's really encouraging to see. And then if I have, so I have another first grade checklist. So I liked the mix of these two. So these are for the same daughter. And then I had her kindergarten checklist from last year. And you can see 2023, she could do all blue. 2024, she could do all the pink. And since she hadn't quite filled it out, I decided to add 2025, even though I wrote 2024 again. I'll have to fix that in yellow. And at the end of the year, I'll mark this up. Well, it will be her kindergarten year, which is what she's actually but it is a super helpful reference for me to see, oh, we actually accomplished something. Oh, they've actually learned. Oh, this is what we've done. And just to see the growth, it's really encouraging for me. And then I have the same thing for my preschooler. I have a preschool page, 2023, 24, and 25, because I've been starting to kind of fill this out last year, this year, and next year. And then this one is going to be 2024 and 2025 for kindergarten stuff that she can do, and then she can't do it. So we'll go into 2026, her kindergarten year. So these are kind of how I did my assessments. And then here are some another assessments I have on this back page. And these are the 8th grade SMARTS assessment. I'm not going to go into what these are, but I did do a video on the book that this kind of comes from, and I'll link that below as well. It's another assessment that I want to kind of do yearly to evaluate my kids' learning styles. That's kind of along the line. So if you're interested in that, check out that video, because that will tell you a whole lot more about what this is about than I want to in this video, because that's not the purpose of this video. Okay, so the last category is going to be our curriculum resources and corrections. So in our Bible curriculum, there's some pictures that I'm supposed to print out a show, or some stories that I print out that aren't in the teacher's manuals, but they're additional resources. And so I print out those for the week, and I'll put those, so anything that's an additional resource that's not in my teacher's manual, but that I have to print out can go back here. I have the Socratic list from Teaching the Classics, their literature, K through 12. And these are Socratic questions to ask as you read, even picture books and stuff. So I have this here just to reference, because this list is really, really what I need for referencing. And I'm not going to show you inside that, because that is a copyrighted material, so I don't want to do all that. And then I also here have what I marked as, so I have the Socratic list marked curriculum corrections, because even curriculum that has been vetted and done often has errors. And a lot of times if you go on their sites, you can find those corrections or errors. And so this one is the Math of Confidence corrections for kindergarten, for first grade, all the way through. And since that's what we're using for math, I thought it'd be nice to have these on hand to be able to reference if we see something that doesn't make sense, or an answer that doesn't seem to line up, or just to look in advance and even mark them in my teacher's manual. So I like having that. And then back here in this pocket, I just really have some picture book lists and some additional resources for myself that are just miscellaneous, kind of just placeholders. And in the very back, I have some lined paper. So that is really how I have my homeschool binder set up. And like I said, we'll see what happens, but I really like it so far. I think this is really good. And even if we edit it, I can see me using these Flex notebooks and just creating my own anyway.
So hopefully that's helpful for you to see the inside of. Hopefully it gives you some ideas, some thoughts, just kind of, what other people do. Again, like I said, this is a first year using this setup, so maybe I won't like all of it. I mean, like none of it. Maybe I'll scrap it all. But right now, it makes sense to my brain. It works for me the way I'm thinking about things. And I know I'll be tweaking and editing as I go throughout the year. And next year, I may have a whole new setup. Or I may have something very similar. It's so hard to say until you've actually used it for a chunk of time. So for now, this is what I have, and we'll see what happens.